Hey, welcome to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. This is a place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, emotional well-being, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. My goal is to create a virtual platform for you and I to explore and engage in pertinent conversations society is silent about. What you get out of this is without doubt a chance for you to have moments of self-assessment so that you can ably jump into your next best season. I am your host, Nabuguzi Kiwanuka, a lawyer, founder, team lead of Equate Foundation, an addict and lover of insightful conversations, and a professional unraveler of social constructs. Set for the introduction of the season, I feel like I have really taken long without having one-on-ones with you. It must be a year now since I did so, and yet I feel like it is only fair that we take or create more time to take stock of our life. I have no doubt that the dialogues give you time for that, but how about you and I do it together while I talk about some of the things on my spirit? So this year I have been thinking a lot about gratitude and its effects on mental health. I have two empty tins with me and I have been wondering which one of them I should choose. The smaller one is the big Nescafe cup. Is it a cup? A big Nescafe tin. You know those glass ones? I'm trying to hear it so that you can hear it. And the bigger one, I bought cookies with it. Plastic, you can hear it, but for some reason I've been challenged as to which tin to use, the smaller one or the bigger one. When I look at the smaller one, I feel like the year is too long for me to use this one. Like, it is too small. I don't think my moments of gratitude would fit in it. But then when I look at the bigger one, I'm like, that is so big. How am I going to fill it up? But as I speak to you right now, I'm really focused. My eyes are really focused on the cookie tin because much as I struggle to make sense of life, there are moments, however smidgen, that inspire a spirit of gratitude in me. And while I talk into this microphone and while you listen to me, that is so much for me to be grateful for. Your listenership is the heartbeat of this podcast. And on the days when I feel like, heck, is this podcast really worth it? I think about you, and yes, you keep me going. They have said it often that when you find purpose in something that you do, it is easier to keep at it. But I think what we speak about less is how marvelous it is to find purpose and equally have people ready to receive and support you while you execute your purpose, man. Gratitude. By the way, like, I've been thinking about the 3 months mostly, the way how I can keep stock of my life. I can't keep up with 2022. I'm like, I didn't plan for any of this. I don't really plan my years. I live every day as it comes. But I created merchandise. Wait, that is recent. I've had great conversations with amazing people. I've made new friends. They just keep filling my cup, and oh my Lord, I don't know. I'm really grateful. Yeah, I'm going to take this big tin. I even have a feeling it might fill up. Pray for me. I'm going to show you the big tin on my socials. I'll show you the big tin. It's not so big. I think it takes like half a kg or something of cookies. I'm not very certain of the grams that it takes. But yes, I created merchandise. I created shirts. Like, oh my Lord, how did I get to this? I created shirts. I created flasks and flasks whose box have vacuum cup on it. So I don't understand. Is it a flask or is it a vacuum cup? But it does the job. And also created magic mugs. Oh, people are really buying the magic mugs. You need to buy the merchandise because, well, the money that we get out of it is to help us to keep producing this podcast. We want to keep having these conversations to help us thrive in our millennial times. Even the times when I don't know when, even the Gen Zs are consuming the podcast. Our parents are consuming the podcast. So we need to create these conversations or spaces where we can have these conversations. The podcast needs you, and you need it. You need it. See, before we go on about recording some or even most of the episodes, that guests ask me questions, and I think the most common one of them is, why the podcast? And my quickest answer is that I talk a lot. But later on, I journey with them into the deficiencies of our society that stem right from our homes. I speak about what I believe to be a privilege not everyone gets to enjoy. The privilege of being allowed to ask why in moments of instruction. Society conditions us not only to go with the flow, but also beats the ability of being out of us. It wants us all to be one and the same, ignoring the fact that my shoe may not fit you the way it fits me. I mean, Natsite can't wear my shoe. You guys have seen Natsite? She can't wear my shoe. She just can't. It can't. It doesn't work. My shoe size does not work on her. The first time I received or experienced a backlash was when I was 6, you guys, 6 years old. A neighbor saw me eating a sweet, yet I had a bad cough. I do not remember who gave me that sweet, but I remember her asking or saying something like, "This child is eating a sweet, yet she has a bad cough." Me who is allowed to ask questions in my mother's house. I asked her, why is it bad for me to eat sweets when I have cough? Y'all. Oh my God. She got mad. She quarreled. She labeled me a bad-mannered child. Dude, it was just a question. It was for me to understand. Nothing related to questioning her authority. I was not talking back at her as she made it seem, but yo, man, as adults we really project our insecurities on innocent children that just want to understand things. They just want to understand how the cycle of life works. But for some reason, when they ask us, it taps into our insecurities. Like, how dare this child ask me questions? But I wanted to understand, why am I not supposed to eat a sweet? Because my mom has trained me to make decisions based on what may come out of them. It is probably one of the reasons I am sometimes really boring around my peers, because I am going to have to exhaust all reasons as to why I should really be going out or even jump on any bandwagon. I do remember how much a friend pleaded with me to join Facebook when I had just joined the university. It took a couple of pleas and me weighing in and out whether it is something I may want to get on. It is 9 years now. Is it 9? Maybe 10? 9. It is 9 years now, and I'm one of the noise makers on the platform. What I'm saying in all this is that I become cognizant of the fact that while I come from a home that made it normal to be heard, I have peers who come from a home like that of our neighbor when I was 6. The question though, despite having different backgrounds, do we all hunger for our voices to be heard? Do we have different experiences in life? Do we all have moments when our walls in our inner worlds take over our ability to thrive? The affirmative answer to all these questions is the reason why I found the need for us, especially the millennials, to have a platform on which we get to explore our uniqueness while we come face to face with the fact that all of us, with our differences or sameness, can healthily exist in the same society. The other question that is common is, why mental health? Well, because it is high time we acknowledge the fact that we are a manifestation of our inner world. The decisions we make, those we fail to make, and the reactions we have in various moments are all a mirror reflection of what is within. So how about we explore that world? And yes, I have had moments in which I struggled mentally and I was not aware of that. I had never even heard of such a thing as mental health. 2017 is like, this is 2022. That's like 5 years ago. And I'd never I can't believe this. I had never heard, I'm very sure that I had never heard of the word mental health, because had I heard of it, maybe as teaching time would have served so many nines. In 2017, an acquaintance made me aware of my struggles. She pointed out that I could find help. While I had no idea about where to find help, and me being in a foreign country, I started some self-help with content on the internet. Speaking of the importance of internet, I managed to cleanse, not wholly, but a portion of what was weighing me down was lifted off my heart. And while I say this, I hope that the content on this podcast has the same effect on your life. Like, this is the goal. If it isn't, please let me know and we figure out how we can switch it up so that it is relevant to you. We don't want to keep giving you irrelevant stuff. Of course, no one has a smoothly woven life. We all have ups and downs, or even cracks in our lives. And as soon as we acknowledge that and learn how to live with them, it's a step towards healing. How you may handle life, not even how you handle life and all the things it throws at you centrally depends on your status of your mental and emotional well-being. All those things that come with conflict management and blah, 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 all those things come from your mental and emotional well-being. In a digital age that gives us all the options to filter and show our best images, we are subconsciously robbed of the essence of humanity and thrown in bottomless pits of insecurities and inadequacies as soon as we are faced with adversity. And yet, in life, there are so many adversities, and like life itself is full of adversities, acknowledgement of which grants us the will to weather whatever storm comes our way. On the podcast, though, through the honest and insightful conversations, you and I become privileged to have an experience of life in its raw form. We need that. It helps us to view life in a more rational and empathetic way, a humanly as opposed to the robotic way. To the guests in the previous and upcoming episodes, you have granted us an opportunity. You have given us permission to relate and learn from your experiences. And I am truly, truly grateful for that. Your vulnerability gives us the strength to be vulnerable. And man, some conversations, yeah, I've heard some listeners say things like they've actually cried, and that is not my goal. That is not what I envision, but coming to terms, and I'm actually getting teary, coming to a place of recognition of other people's experiences is something that I want for all of us. Something that I want for all of us. I want it for all of us. I want us to be able to see each other. And I don't know if you understand the way how I'm using the word see, but I would love for us to be able to see each other. The other question that I did not foresee came in the form of affirmation. You know, Kagaye asked me why it took me so long to start, and you should have seen me blushing. I'm like, oh, that's cute. I don't remember what I told him, but imposter syndrome was one of the shackles that I had to break free from. Do not misconstrue this to mean that I no longer struggle with imposter syndrome, because this is one challenge that keeps changing form at every stage of growth. It sheds skin. Imposter syndrome sheds skin like a snake. Imposter syndrome stems from, like, at all the levels that you go to, there is something that is going to follow you, a certain form of fear that is going to come after you for all the stages that you reach, whether CEO position, even when you're the CEO for I don't know how many years, something still kicks in. Imposter syndrome stems from various forms of fears, and your ability to recognize them depends on your ability to have honest conversations with yourself. or even your peers. Fear never goes away, but I've learned from Lavi that it is very important for you to create a consistent pattern when it comes to doing the things that you love to do. Not for fun. I don't think there is imposter syndrome in having fun. You know, it's also important for you to have the courage to leave your comfort zone and build a community that challenges and supports you. For those who have been around for a long time, right from the inception of this podcast, I'm sure you notice how much I struggled with inconsistency. You do not even have to have been around from the start. The podcast itself shows the pattern when I was starting. Like, you'll see that sometimes it took me months to return to release a new episode, and what was in my way of doing what I love to do is the distrust in myself. Starting a podcast was the first time I heard someone say that I had a beautiful voice. Yo, did you hear the voice? Did you hear the voice? It was too big. Like, when I used to record voice notes on WhatsApp and play them back, I would cringe at the sound of my voice. Like, it was too big. And so, coming to the side of awareness, I struggled to come to terms with it. Like, very few people said anything about the content I created in the start. It was a beautiful voice, and that was when I started feeling like, I guess I have nothing to offer for the voice. The goal was not to show off a voice, but rather build a platform that sparks conversations that will help us thrive in life. But unfortunately, what I had more was something I did not even believe. I landed on a masterclass on fear and no, it's not fear. The masterclass was on fighting fear and imposter syndrome, and most of the things they talked about were very much descriptive of my struggles. And one time when I was recording an audiogram, I heard my voice. Holy smokes, that is me. That is me. Oh my Lord. Well, this is going to be vain, but I was impressed with the sound of Nabuguzi. By the time I started 2021, being consistent was the goal. The comfort zone ceased to be my friend, and I had really come to the awareness of people who would give me honest feedback. 2021 worked out perfectly, more than I expected, more than I ever dreamed of. Like, I don't have, like, I came to terms with I no longer have control of the podcast. Like, whoa, that was 2021 was really huge. It was also tiring, but it was worth it. It was worth every sleepless night. It was worth every call I made. It was build a pattern of consistency. It's going to be easier. It's going to help you build the courage. Have the people that are going to hold you accountable. This is going to keep you moving forward with your head high. Endeavor to keep your head high, no matter the circumstances. You need yourself first before you need any other person. As I close off this episode, I encourage you to normalize having difficult and honest conversations, whether with yourself or with the people that you're doing life with, your friends, your family, anyone that you happen to experience on every other day. I encourage you to normalize having difficult and honest conversations with them. I have just completed one of my favorite series, or maybe I've not completed it. There must be season 5. The series is called A Million Little Things. I don't know if any of you have watched it. The first time I watched it 2 years ago, I think that was during the first lockdown. I cried. I think to that some of the episodes or moments in episodes do make me cry. Like, I'm already getting teary thinking about the whole story. But I think the reason that's why I was crying in the very first episode was because I saw a visual expression of the things I've struggled with before, or the things that I keep struggling with. Warning though, it is really triggering, especially for those who have experienced suicidal thoughts. So approach it with your whole discretion. Like when they say viewers' discretion is advised, but it's very important to have that kind of content, because that way it helps us have a reflection or understand mental health, because it is very reflective of how the things in our daily routines beat life out of us: relationships, work, social life, economic life. Like it speaks about so many things that affect our mental health, and I really recommend it. I think that's one of the content that, apart from the podcast, because the podcast doesn't give you so much of it maybe, but that would give you so much insight about mental health, in case you're still the kind of person who has not come to a place of really appreciating or acknowledging its magnitude. So check it out. Do check out A Million Little Things. These guys need to pay me money. I can't be giving them kalango like this. I can't be giving them a whole advert on my podcast. Who is the creative mirror of this thing, A Million Little Things? Tell them to approach me to give me money now. The most important thing that I picked out from, I keep picking out from the whole show, much as I feel like it's something that I've recognized in this fourth season, is that we need to be willing to start and be willing to have difficult conversations. It is one of the ways that I believe helps me detox mentally. Man, I'm going to give you things as is. Like, I'm going to give you my mental my mental creation. I'm going to give you whatever I'm thinking about in that very moment. Like, straight up, you're going to have it in its raw form, and it really makes my heart lighter. I can assure you that it works. It works. From childhood, it makes my heart lighter. Much as I was not so much in awareness of what mental health is, I'm very sure that this is something that has been helping me work out life right from childhood. I hope to keep fostering these conversations on the podcast. I hope to keep serving you the mirrors and windows in the content on the podcast. Mirrors so that you can see reflections of yourselves in the stories and conversations on the podcast, and windows so that you can see the worlds of other people. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. If you love what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka in your podcast platform of choice and share it with your friends. Let them know that this content is designed for their growth. Feel free to also share your insights about what connected with you on social media, and be sure to tag us. We are at Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter. Friends, I learned how to tweet. Hey, you're not going to survive me this year. On Twitter, our handle is at HTNK Podcast. You can also reach us on our email, htnkpodcast@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. And until then, I welcome you. Until then, when I say until then, I mean for the next episode. Welcome to the second quarter of 2022. I wish you gratitude. I wish you could start difficult conversations with yourself and with the people that you do life with. Do we still say Happy New Year? Happy new quarter of 2022. Bye-bye.